right. What's going on, everybody out there? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional, alongside the host, Mikey Fever, in the building.
Yo.
Yo, this is the first time we was on the same podcast for a little minute now, right?
Of course, man. Dynamic duo.
Dynamic duo.
Yes.
And now we got the brother Aket back in the building with
Good.
the Ancient Free Moorish Rite. Finally, I got that. Finally, I got it. Yo, let's drop a bomb.
I'm an honorary member, man. I was supposed to join them at first, man. 2018. I missed that ball, man. I missed that calling.
Oh, but we have a relationship with the brother now. So we've been building with a cat on this platform probably 2 years now, right?
2 years. That's right.
Yeah,
right at the beginning.
Yeah, man. Yo, thanks for the support, brother. Wise Dome TV in the building. What's up, man? We're about to do a podcast with that brother. We need to open that Pan-African gate on this platform.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing that we are not dealing with too much of. We need to really deal with that. We need to build on that. Anyway, let's get to it. Hold on 1 second.
Got the brothers in the building.
All right, hold on 1 second. So how you doing, brother Aket?
Yes, sir. I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well by the Creator's blessings. You know, good to be with you tonight. Good to be with your audience. We're honored and blessed to be able to share again and build bridges. And, you know, we look forward to building with you, brothers. We got our brother Abdullah here tonight, and we have our El Day Supreme Grand Commander here tonight. So we look forward to engaging with you, brothers, and, you know, thank your audience and thank you for having us here. But I'm well, brother. I'm ready to build.
Likewise. Appreciate it. That's an honor to be with you guys as well, man.
Yes, sir.
So I know we spoke about like the basics of Ancient Free Moorish Rite, right? But I want to go over it again for those who missed it. You haven't been on the platform in some time. So I want to just go over just the basics. So when did Ancient Free Moorish Rite start? Started by who? And we could just take it from that point.
That's good.
Yes, sir. Well, with that, you know, it will start at the beginning, and, you know, we're honored tonight to have our Supreme Grand Commander, Alim El Day, here in the building to talk about the Moorish Rite, because he was there from the beginning and is still here now. So I'll turn the floor over to my El Day to start us off tonight. Peace, El Day.
Yes, peace. And thank you, Brother Cat. Thank you, Mikey Fever, Ron Brown. Again, I'm going to echo Brother Arquette that it's always an honor to be here, and we appreciate your venue and how we can, make ourselves known to yet another audience. So that's good, and we like that, and I appreciate your questions. Right. We always say in the Ancient Free Moorish Rite that it starts with Dr. Clifford E. Hazel Bey, and to talk about him in full measure, we could even require a dissertation, but we do want to make sure that people are familiar with Dr. Clifford E. Hazel Bey, and even people who have the leanest interest or curiosity about the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, they should know, and it's prudent that they should know, Dr. Clifford E. Hazel Bey and his legacy. So it starts with him. He was a Scottish Rite Freemason, career Freemason, very high degree Freemason, and not only that he was a bishop, minister, imam, all of the above. He was a spirituologist, angelologist and a spiritualist, if you will. So he was just a very impactful and special person in our lives and to a lot of people. And it begins with him in 1995. He began to do the actual footwork of recruiting people, bringing people together, and to actually start the Ancient Free Moorish Rite. So in '95, I got with him and we got together, and we did a lot of research for maybe 3 to 4 to 5 years, and basically researching about the presence of Moors in Masonic history, right? Which was something that was obscured, maybe it still is to a degree. It was not popularized. And so for many people, Moors did not even have a historical presence in Freemasonry, right? So generally when people would look at Black or African American or Negro Freemasonry, they would start respectively with the Prince Hall Freemasons. Well, Dr. Hazel was concerned that people should know that Freemasonry is an African phenomenon and not a European phenomenon. As
That's
it,
a
Oh,
fact.
hold on. One second.
Talk
Hold
about it.
Mhm.
Talk about it.
Right. Okay. Appreciate that. This is just, just accounting, for Doc, as we call him affectionately. So he said that, and also too that, in modern day, that there were fraternal efforts all over America that maybe didn't get the coverage, let's say, that Prince Hall may have gotten, right? And this is no bash or anything against Prince Hall, but you just did have other, Black Moorish fraternal efforts looking to do good things in the various communities in answer to some of the racism in America, early 19th century, transitioning 20th century. A lot of efforts out there from fraternities. So the Moorish Rite becomes that around 2001, right? We're in that stream, and it was something that Dr. Hazel had nurtured for about 20 years or more of his, at that time, 40-year Masonic career. He was very, very dedicated to spirituality, to upliftment, to Freemasonry, to the Creator.
Now, I want to interject. I'm sorry. So I want to say this. You said he basically grew this organization 20 years, right? Now, what's the basics? Like, what's the basic foundation? Like, for instance, in the 5% Nation, the basic foundation is the supreme mathematics, right? So, and in Moorish science, the basic foundation would be love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It would be the circle 7, and it would be the 101, right? In the Nation of Islam is supreme wisdom. So, what would be the basic foundation of the Ancient Free Moorish Rite? if you could share that with the public. If you can't, that's fine.
Yeah, sure. It can be shared. And to just stay in alignment with what you laid out, with Ancient Free Moorish Rite, it's Freemasonry set to a Moorish agenda, which had with something that was normally, again, obscured or unknown or uncovered. It's Freemasonry, not to be mistaken, but set to a Moorish agenda, predicated upon the Freemasonry that our ancestors practiced.
Okay, good. I like how you put that
Can I add
down.
something to that? I see it as, it's, with all due respect, because I'm a traveling man myself, it's different from what we know as mainstream masonry, because what the Europeans brought into the 1800s. So as you say, it ties you back to your lineage, your heritage, and it's tailored for our people.
Yes.
Basically. Got you.
Mm-hmm,
All right.
Mm-hmm. And that's the being set, like you set the stone to the Moorish agenda. So it is certainly that, and like you said, Brother Mikey Fever, it is different. It is different, albeit it's still Freemasonry. Arose by any other name would smell just as sweet.
Got you.
Okay. So now when you go into Freemasonry, from what I know, you basically, you're vetted, and then you're brought into the lodge, and then then you enter the apprentice, and you get the catechism, and you have to memorize the catechism for the first degree. So is it the same structure? And if so, if you can give us an idea of something that your catechism would say, being that it is basically Moorish centered.
Okay, that's an interesting question, somewhat of a disclosure. Yeah, we have a degree system. Of course, to be Masonic, you must have a degree system, right?
Yep.
And we have a ritual. We utilize our own ritual because we're a Masonic rite. As a true Masonic rite, you must be practicing your own ritual, right? Now, a tag to that with Dr. Hazel, as he would say, if you're not practicing your own Freemasonry, then whose Freemasonry are you practicing, right? Now, we have, if you will, literature, Brother Ron Brown, that some of it you could say is catechismic, some of it, but our ritual, of course, would spawn any kind of catechism. But in the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, Dr. Hazel was not too in favor of a kind of catechism that was playing around or fooling around with things, right? So he frowned on that, and he wanted us to have more like a straight-laced way of communicating with one another, of talking with one another. So let's say if you were to run into a Moorish Rite Freemason and you thought you recognized him and he recognized you, we don't have the kind of catechism that we would challenge each other.
Okay.
I want to see what you know. Our catechism would be how we recognize one another. The legitimacy of our recognition of each other, not through a stream of challenging me. So you're gonna put so many questions to me to find out who I am. So the catechism would be laced with a lot of metaphor. Who turned the lights on in your house? What do you know about Joe's beef and all that? So I'm not looking to mock that. I came from out of the traditional Freemasonic system, and I did all of that. Dr. Hazel leaned away from that. So I couldn't go into I couldn't go in right now, brothers, of how we would recognize each other and maybe what verbal exchange we would have, but it is there. And I could disclose something simple as, hey, brother, I see you're a navigator or you a sailor.
Got you.
At least according to my observations, that's what, compels me to greet you. Something like that. Even
the terms, to interject, ties you back to your Moorish lineage as far as navigating the seas and everything, the terms that's used. So I completely respect what the Ancient Moorish Rite represents. You get, and that's me coming in. I'm neither Prince Hall, but that's coming from somebody who practiced traditional masonry. I always respected how they function, especially Clifford Hazel Bey. May he rest in peace. Peace be upon him. From watching his videos. Huh?
So character is nautical. You could say that it's seafaring. Yeah. And but then I'll throw a spin in here, right? While it is a nautical and seafaring character, there is also an architectural component. And so I'll just leave that to people's imagination or investigation.
Got you. That's peace. That's peace. That's peace. Yeah. Anything you want to add on, Aket?
Sorry, unmute. No. I think Day summed it up, perfectly right there, beloved.
All right. I know that we have in traditional masonry, they have Hiram Abiff, a figure, right? That's represented within mainstream masonry. Who is Angelo Solomon in Ancient Free Moorish Rite?
I'll give a little bit, Brother Aket, and if you want to chime into that, or if any Brother Grandmaster Abdullah, you want to chime into that as well. Hiram Abiff is an allegorical figure in traditional Freemasonry, or, like as you said, mainstream Freemasonry. Hiram Abiff was not an actual person, right? But we love and respect the Hiramic allegory, and I know the allegory. Everybody knows it. The three ruffians and Hiram is the master builder. Just beautiful information put together by Dr. Anderson. And especially for the Freemasons and the people of that time, right? So that's Brother Ron Brown. That's Hiram Abiff. Angelo Solomon was a real flesh and blood human being. He is not the subject or the character of allegory. He really lived in Vienna, Austria in the 16th century. He was a real person. He was a real Freemason, and he has a very interesting Masonic history, as well as an interesting life. He was a polyglot. He was a chess champion. He was a grand master, although some Freemasons out there debate that grand mastership for him. But we'd be looking to take that on, and Brother Aket has taken that on with several brothers, and would win that. So he's a real person. Now, Brother Ron, we do have an allegorical character who is not Hiram, but he's Abiff Bey, phonetically, right? Resonating with Hiram Abiff, right? So we do have an allegorical character. Angelo Solomon, though, back to your question, he was a real person. He was a real flesh and blood person, and he braved and challenged the racial concepts.
Yeah.
The 18th century, I'm sorry, I might have said 16th century at the time. And he stood out as a citizen in Vienna. You know, you could say that he was that he was a lone sheep, right, in a sea of Europe. You know, there was a movie based on Angelo Solomon. However, not the ones that have come out lately. I'm not going to call the movie out, but there's some older popular American movies where one of them is very, very popular. It was based on Angelo Solomon, not exclusively, but it was a part of not an incidental part, but a part of the classic movie, and it was a so-called Negro in that movie, and that was based on Angelo Solomon. So he was a real person.
Got me thinking now.
Hmm?
Got us thinking now. Like, which movie is that?
Yes, sir.
I have a question about what's the benefit of becoming a part of your organization? So the reason why I asked about the catechism is because I know that the catechism subconsciously, it kind of reshapes your character through memorization. So not kind of, that's what it does. So what I want to know is, you know, with all of these organizations that I've come in contact with, that's the focus, the subconscious mind for the most part, I would say. Of course, the conscious and the subconscious mind, but mainly the subconscious mind to kind of reprogram. So I would assume that that's exactly what's going on with this organization. Now, what are the techniques of reprogramming a member?
Man, I love that question, brother Ron Brown. You know, you're on it, man. Wow. Um, you know, put it this way: our entire uh, ritual, first ritual of the Asiatic degree, right, deals exclusively with the cerebral hemispheres, right? Exclusively, right? You would just have to know that that's what it's dealing with, right? Now, generally in Masonic literature, especially Masonic uh, rituals, you have what is called the sophomoric method. The sophomoric method is another uh, uh, verbal technique or um, um, technology, if you will, that deals with left brain, right brain. So when I come to you and I go, what was that? You said, it was this. And I say, what was that one? And what was this one? And why was it that? To be this and to be that. Well, what did you learn while it was this and that? What we are actually doing is exercising right brain, left brain.
Call and response.
Yes, sir. Yep, you can say it that way, the call and response. You know, that's what that is. It's the left brain, right brain exercise. I'll share, sure, within the Moorish Rite ritual, again, especially on our Asiatic degree, it is almost exclusively left brain, right brain. I don't want to say activation. I mean, that should be the result, but it's up to the individual. But it's left brain, right brain stimulation. That's what it is. So that you're talking about, it's not missed in the Moorish Rite. It is perhaps even more pronounced, especially in our Asiatic degree ritual.
Okay, in the Asiatic degree ritual SP. So now, there were some other things that I've heard about. Brother Cyrus was talking about, you know, hypnosis. So, you know, I know that's what he does as a profession. And you know, that's a a skill he has that could change lives. Now, do you have anything similar to that as far as reshaping the conscious mind, subconscious mind? Is it just the first degree, or as you go more in depth in the degrees, it's more exercises for the brain?
Yeah. As an organization, the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, we don't get into hypnosis. It has nothing to do with the Moorish Rite. We respect that Brother Cyrus as a professional, that's what he does. And I'm led to think that he's very good at it, right? But as a Masonic rite and as an organization, we don't get into that. There's nothing in the Ancient Free Moorish Rite that accounts for any kind of hypnosis or for any kind of situation or circumstance whereby an individual is being controlled or even influenced without his own will and consent. We do not deal with hypnosis. That's not a part of the Moorish Rite. You have individuals that are in their personal and professional lives, they're into various professions, right? And some people, sometimes they may try to cross-pollinate those professions with Freemasonry, especially, with the Moorish Rite. But it's not, with all due respect to Brother Cyrus, I know what he does. I used to be good friends with one of the top brothers, a black man, hypnologist in the world. And so I do know very much up close what Brother Cyrus does, and I appreciate it. But it's not, has nothing to do with the Ancient Free Moorish Rite. None whatsoever. We don't get into that. And we would not get into that. No, we don't feel that is honorable when it comes to Freemasonic practice and study. We wouldn't undermine another person's goals or ambitions or even what step they're going to take next.
Gotcha.
Okay, so another question: what makes it more Moorish?
When you say more Moorish, maybe perhaps you can clarify that.
Okay, what makes the Ancient Free Moorish Rite more of a Moorish rite than just a basic Mason rite? You get what I'm saying? So it is Masonry, but more African centered, if you will, or Moorish centered. So what would make it more Moorish?
Oh, I'm add on to that too.
All right, Brother Mikey, would you want to go with
No,
that?
I say with all due respect, it's not like they didn't have to get pardon or authorization from a lodge in England, basically. Like, how can you tell me to practice my practice and give me authorization or something that's my craft, my sciences? And no disrespect to Prince Hall. I want to make that clear. But that's what it is. Basically saying this is our right, not
Yes,
something, not mainstream. No disrespect to the Masons out there. But I just
yeah,
want to make
no,
that clear.
exactly. Yeah, sure.
Right. But
Exactly.
when I think Moorish, I'm thinking, you know, the Moors, the historical Moors. So, if as far as that culture is concerned, is it in the right? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It is the Moorish Masonic culture that we've researched is in the Moorish Rite. Now, I'll take that a little further. The Moorish Masonic culture is in mainstream Freemasonry, even. Now, you asked earlier about Angelo Solomon. And Angelo Solomon became a Freemason in Harmony Lodge in Vienna, Austria. And when he became Grand Master, and if any brothers are listening, I put myself out here before for this debate if you want to have it. When he became Grand Master, he influenced through his writing the Masonic literature of that day, right? And it is according to the Moorish Rite and according to other historians, it is the Solomonic style that has influenced European Freemasonry. So he being a Moor and being consciously a Moor, being very aware, right, of his Moorish lineage and who he was. Now, it does not mean that because of that Freemasonry is still not universal, which is its primary claim, right? That it's universal. It's about a universal brotherhood and a universal knowledge and understanding. But Angelo Solomon wrote in that style. So I just sort of hinted at that style, Brother Brown, that cerebral hemisphere. We could get very deep with that as a Moorish phenomenon. Prior to Angelo Solomon, the Masonic literature was crude, right? And it did not investigate, it didn't peer into the scientific realm of the mind, right? It didn't get into the scientific understanding of even the ways and the workings and the inner and outer workings and crossings of the Creator's work. It didn't go there. Angelo Solomon brought that scientific specter to European Freemasonry. And that is what makes it Moorish. For the Moorish Rite, we do have Moorish signatures and some cultural motif, right? You would get the same if you were Scottish Rite, French Rite, Lithuanian Rite. You know, I can't say what each of those rites highlight because that would be violating certain oaths for me. Even if I took them as a traditional Freemason, whatever, I still will not break those oaths, right? But with the Moorish Rite, it's the same. But you would have to know and recognize. You could go to the Scottish Rite. I know a lot of brothers, right? I'm talking about brothers, black men, studying the Scottish Rite. But if I were to say, what is the signature, the Masonic signature of the Scottish people within your Freemasonic practice? And they don't know. And that's not something we look down on them about because it's just not emphasized like that. But what is it about the Scots? And that you being a Scottish Rite Freemason or a York Rite or whatever that might be, what was the primary character of those people, you know, throughout the annals of history? So a lot of times people wouldn't know, but therein, maybe I'm sharing something with you. That's where you find, you notice the nomenclature of Freemasonry, right? Why is it there like that? French Rite, Lithuanian Rite, German Rite, American Rite, Scottish Rite, you name it. Why is that nomenclature there? Why is it cultural like that? Because of course it has something to do with the culture of those people. But if you were to say to a lot of people, well, what are you doing today that memorializes within that rite? What are you doing today that memorializes those people in that culture? A lot of times people be like, oh, it's Freemasonry. That's what they might know. But there is something within the Moorish Rite too that memorializes, canonizes the Moors of antiquity.
All right, now I want to go into two questions coming from the. One of them is a statement that I want to address. One is a question. So, the God sincere ask. So y'all have the same degrees as all Masons?
No, we don't. We don't. We have a different degree system, my brother. It's not the same. It's a different degree system.
That sounds so interesting.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. Now, this brother right here said, "Peace to the Moors and the lost 5%. The Masons that have nothing to say to them, peace." Now, the reason why I brought this up here is because compass is to come past, my brother. Okay, so I just want to address your statement. I don't know if this is coming from this place. So if I'm wrong, brother who made the statement, let me know. But it says the Masons I have nothing to say to them. So from that, what came to mind was Masons got this bad, like,
rap. I'm telling you.
yeah, got a bad
I hear
rap,
it every day.
bad stigma placed upon them. And the little bit I did in Masonry, I haven't seen anything that's like out of the ordinary. It's really, if technically speaking, if you really think about it, if you've been in all of these schools of thought, they all have a degree of how can I say code of conduct that's similar to Masonry. They have a code of conduct that's similar to Masonry. It's like
Talk about it.
all of them, every last one of them that
Talk
I've been.
about it.
5%ers, even though 5%ers, they don't deal with a lot of paperwork and such like that. However, there's a code of conduct. Like you can't talk to certain people. Like you can talk to everybody, peace, 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 peace. But certain information you're not going to get from the gods or the earths because who are you?
You know where that comes from, Brother Ron?
One second, Mike. Pardon me. I just wanted to finish this thought. The same thing with the Moorish science. When you go into Moorish science, they'll deal with you. You get your nationality card. However, you still have to build trust. You still have to build trust there. Same thing in the Nation of Islam. So it's the same in that regard. So I don't like the Masons are everyone's secretive to a certain degree. Everyone's secretive to a certain degree. You're not going to just come into my house and into my life and I'm going to just give you all of my secrets and everything that I know and that's precious to me.
That's right.
So everyone's guarded in a sense. Everyone has a wall up. That's human nature. So to put that on Masons like they're just some secretive group of people who conceal the truth and they blood suck the poor and all this. That's nah. I don't see it that way. And you said I'm not talking about the Black Masons. Okay.
All right, you clarified it. Because I was gonna say, as Chris Brown said, how you gonna hate outside the club? You can't even get in. What happened is you have one person that was spoiled for the whole bunch again. And the problem with humanity, people, when people don't understand something, they fear it. They cast suspense behind it and they speculate and come up with these conspiracies, which is not true. I mean, I've been traveling for about 4 years. I have yet to see any demon, any goat. Only goat I know is the grand architect of the universe. That's it. So therefore, I don't know what people be talking about there. And especially when it comes to us people of color, it's like people have a problem when they see us practicing something that's yours. The European, with all due respect, is studying you. Okay, that comes from our science. You go into masonry, you hear talks of depending on what depending on the jurisdiction or the obedience, you hear them talk about ancient Egypt, Kemet, pyramids or such. You get what I'm saying? This country was built by Masons, and you have to understand many of our ancestors were involved in the building of this nation.
That's right.
Whether they were Moors, from Benjamin Banneker with the Almanic and all that stuff, these people were travelers. CM Bay. People got to stop it. That's the problem, Ron. They
I
fear
think,
what they
you
don't
know what I think
understand.
that comes from? I think that comes from, I could be wrong.
Mhm.
I think that comes from, the supreme wisdom with, and Mr. Honorable Elijah Muhammad wasn't a fan, so to speak, of of masonry. He wasn't necessarily a fan of masonry.
Wasn't he a
Basically,
traveling man himself?
huh?
He was one himself, I believe.
Yeah,
I would say I wouldn't say that. I would say maybe from what I know, maybe his earlier years, maybe he dabbled a little bit,
Yeah.
but after that, nah. Matt,
well,
once he him and yeah, he left it alone. Yep. He left it alone. Once he started dealing with WD Farad and then the Nation of Islam and creating that and building that, that was it. He actually
Studied it.
spoke, actually spoke against masonry.
I'm gonna say it's with respect. I read his book. If
hmm,
people read, you know, get a chance to read, like you said, like Supreme Wisdom, and then if you, and most Masons will get it. When I look at both the Catechism and the Supreme Wisdom, there are some similarities, but different languages. But there
mhm.
are some similarities because it broadens your mind. All those tools broaden your mind, and then from there you tend to knock down all the barriers and see that it's the same pictures with different perspectives.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Well, I love the brother's statement, right?
Mhm.
And it read honorably to me. Um, and I would say that, you know, uh, so many of us, even you brethren on here now, to that brother, I say we fit the description, right? The 5% of the poor righteous teachers teaching the 85%, right? While the 10%, I'm paraphrasing this, right, are involved with the oppression, right,
Mhm.
and suppression of the people. So this is where you get the 5%. So if we're not the 5%, and I'm talking about those of us who have been on these journeys for the better part of our adult lives, if we're not the 5%, then who is the 5%?
Well, in the degree, when it speaks about the 5%, it says Muslim and Muslim sons, and Muslim sons would be, from what I remember, Shriners.
Mhm.
So you know, righteous people is a part of that. So you are 5%, by that
Mhm,
definition,
mhm.
so but what I'm saying is that uh we said Freemasonry ain't a law's 5%. No, I already know. I got that. I got that part. Muslims ain't a law 5% either. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, well, yeah, I said that. So now I want to move on, because I don't want to spend too
I'm
much time.
telling you,
We
brother,
already
this
spent a
this
whole lot
thing.
of time on that, but I was just saying,
That's
like,
a deep rabbit hole. Yes, sir.
yeah, I was saying that I think that this whole fear of masonry kind of came around, this from what I think, from Elijah Muhammad, or this hatred, not hatred, but dislike or disdain, and then the internet came, and then they made it even worse. So,
Mhm.
you know, but I could be wrong. I want
Oh
to I want
man.
to also get into, as far as the Ancient Free Moorish Rite. What do you guys do for the community? Do you go out into the community? Do you do like bouncy houses? Do you do community outreach, food supplies?
Oh, they do, bro.
They do.
Yes, sir. We do. We do. And
I've
we
seen
have
it.
Brother Aket on. We have Grandmaster Abdullah.
Mhm.
And we have a charity that's upcoming. And perhaps the brethren may want to talk about that. But yes, Brother Brown, we are engaged with charities and community outreach. And we've been doing that for a lot of years. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Uh, Grandmaster Arquette, Grandmaster Abdullah, brethren.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Grandmaster Abdullah, if you want to address that, if you're available. If not, I can address it. But I do want to say, in terms of just moving on from the last thing, one thing that you will find in the Ancient Free Moorish Rite is, with all due respect to all of those other matters, not a lot of talk about all of that stuff. Here we are focused and we are endeavoring to master our rituals. So, a lot of that is, where we putting our attention and where we putting our focus, So just wanted to say that. But yes, brother, we've been engaged, since the beginning with charity work, and a lot of it unseen, a lot of it, you don't necessarily see posts or, videos, showing we're doing the charity, but we do organizationally have charity events and yearly events mainly featuring our back to school backpack giveaway, where we target communities and we come together as an organization, as brothers, and we get backpacks, we get supplies, all different supplies that kids will use for school, and we fill up backpacks with supplies, and we have supplies available so that people don't have to come out of their pocket, that $50, $100 for supplies, getting the kids ready for those backpacks. So that's just one of many endeavors that we are endeavoring to do and that we do to serve the community. But charity is at the core of what we do. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to promote what we're coming up, because I'm going to promote it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yes, sir.
This
Yes,
is the
sir.
platform for that.
Yes, sir. We have a street cleanup combined with charity, which is coming up in Gary, Indiana. Now, we're very proud of Gary, Indiana, because Gary, Indiana gave us perhaps one of the greatest musical bands of all time, and another person who was arguably the greatest entertainer of all time, and that's the Jackson Five, and that's Michael Jackson, right? We're doing this in Gary coming up in June, right? We're going to be cleaning up in the neighborhood, cleaning up areas that people feel that, we need that. And we trust too to have some school supplies at that event. And this is being led by our brother, Chris Smith L., who lives in Gary, Indiana. And what we are proud of with that is that it comes along right in stream with the biopic, the movie about Michael Jackson, that's going to be released really soon. And so, it's going to still be big and huge and probably mushroom more during the summertime. And so we're doing that in that city, and we're going to be honoring that city, that family, and of course, that movie as well. And so that is a big spotlight for us. Not that we're seeking that, as Brother Arquette was saying, we don't generally do that. Charity should not necessarily be spotlighted, but we are really proud of that. And Brother Arquette, Grandmaster Abdullah, we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And that is, again, Brother Brown, one of our give back efforts that we take a lot of pride and a lot of joy in that as well.
That's peace. So now, if you can give me like a testimonial, like how do you feel Moorish this organization changed your life, or have you seen any changes in other people? I would like to know that.
Well, we haven't heard from Brother Abdullah, so I'll let Brother Abdullah go, but I have a specific thing to say to that question right there, but I'll let my Grandmaster, if he's available. Brother Abdullah, you want to answer that, brother?
Peace. Thank you, Brother Arquette, and peace to the NYP Talk community. Peace to the host, Brother Mikey Fever, Brother Ron Brown. Peace to our Supreme Grand Commander, Brother Aleem.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. This question is one of my favorite questions, and I never give it its due justice just because it's I can say so much about it, but I'll strive to be concise. It has and it is culturally enriching me. Not only is it benefiting me intellectually and spiritually, but also it's a cultural enrichment. Of course, it complements my knowledge of my Moorish heritage and lineage. And like our Supreme Grand Commander is saying, it is Moorish. It does honor the Moors of antiquity. And like they say, the proof is in the pudding. So I would say that you would have to be in it to really experience it. But as it's been said tonight, we do promote a nautical character, and as Brother Mikey Fever said, most of us are aware of the nautical, excuse me, the Moorish nautical history, that the Moors were the seafarers of the seven seas, and so this history is very well exhibited and pronounced in our degree system. So it gives one a whole cultural enrichment of that aspect of their heritage, and it does connect us to the history of the Moors of Moorish Spain and also ancient Egypt, as well as ancient Moorish civilizations in the Americas. So all of that is in there, and so that's why I say, for me, I really appreciate the cultural enrichment. It really has added on to me personally in that regard, and so it allows me to be a, a better, well-rounded father and brother in person, because I have so much information in my backdrop just to complement who I'm already striving to be. So
Got you.
peace. Sure.
Esoterically too, he said spiritually, esoterically, the navigation of the seas, what it means on the esoteric side is a
You
lot of
already know,
mystery.
you can already figure it out. We don't even have to really break it down.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah.
Any brother who's spiritually astute can put one and two together to see, can understand that symbolism. You know, like we say, you're navigating through the seas of life. So there you go, take it from there. And
Got you.
we
Yep.
in the ancient free Moorish, right? You get so much application just to apply that phrase, to navigate through this through the seas of life. And then in ancient free Moorish, right, you get more information to go with that, just to help you, spiritually, in your own spiritual journey. Thank you. I yield the
Exactly.
floor.
Man, brother Mikey, brother Ron, peace all day, and priest brother Abdullah. Yeah, man, I got to keep myself on the timer, because that question, gets to the heart of, the why. And if you don't know your why,
You don't know what you're doing.
as it says, if you're not practicing your own Freemasonry, whose Freemasonry are you practicing? So my answer to that, brother, of what are brothers getting, and we can bring testimony from brothers who have been here a month, a week, a year, 10 years, and you will hear different perspectives of the same sort of pull. For me, the Moorish Rite, what it did and does for me daily, and this now being my 14th year celebrating, actually, yeah, this month is April, so this is my celebration month, 14 years in the Ancient Free Moorish Rite. What it's done for me is it has introduced a spiritual practice that is applicable, that is deep, and it's you can spend hours going into the knowledge and the information, but at the end of the day, if there's no action and there's no change in who you are, then what is that information and knowledge worth? So for me, the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, through its spiritual centered Masonic modality and practice, because it's predicated on the Moors, because it is something that was birthed out of the loins of the illustrious Dr. Clifford E. Hazel Bey, who people are still, understanding the breadth of who and what he was and still is. You know, it's all centered around your spirituality, your seeking and connection with the Creator.
Mm-hmm.
And the evidence of that is your connection with your brother.
Oh man, hold up, man.
That's peace.
Hold up.
Fact.
That's a whole podcast, that one.
Now we gotta do one because I'm gonna keep it real brief before we get out of here. I had purchased a book. It was like a thin pamphlet about C. Hazel Bey because I seen a few of his videos back in like 2010, 09, and this dude was dropping so much science on a spiritual level. I don't think people grasp what he was saying.
Listen to what the brother Aket said. Can you repeat that, brother Aket?
Yeah.
Man,
the connection to the brother, connection to the brothers.
Yeah.
Connection, creator, brother.
So that gets back to my first premise of us in this life, right? Sitting here right now in our individual lives. We're all here living this existence. And this thing is real because we all know at the end of the day, we're all going to come to our last breath. So when we measure up and when we survey our life, right, it goes to the why. What are we doing here? What is your purpose? And if it isn't a connection with, now you said earlier, we talked about secrets, we talked about disclosures. But few know that we are all seeking after the ultimate secret. Because as it says, no man has seen the face of God.
Never.
However, Minister Elijah Muhammad said, when you look in the face, when you look at a black man, you're looking at God.
Well, you're coming at my next point. But I said, but as it says in the volume of Sacred Law, you see your brother every day.
Got you.
So for us and for Freemasonry, because you talked about something earlier, and as you get into the Moorish Rite, you'll see in terms of the structure, what our agenda is, and without getting into too much of it, one part of it and our presentation of Freemasonry. You're not going to see us up here bashing another organization.
That's right.
You're not going to see us up here trying to put ourselves up by taking somebody down. No, we just have to practice what we've been taught, right? And that is, respecting your man. Really, it's the principles of Freemasonry, that universal brotherhood. So with us seeking after, this invisible one, the Creator, and as I said, that seeking after, and not just a seeking after, but a connection with, a daily connection. And however you have that connection, but that daily connection, and the evidence of that, right, is me being able to live a life as I do in the Ancient Free Moorish Rite and connect with new brothers. Because as I always say, I don't have to know you to know you. So it's that spirit of life, it's that breath of life that animates me. It's the mind, the intelligence, the individuality that is me, is the same thing that is in you. And it is high time in this life to make that spiritual connection real, because it has to be applicable, because we can talk about it all day, but can we be with each other even when we're wrong? Can you have your brother's back? Can you forgive?
Talk about it.
Because we talked about all the divisions. We talked about right, and it's supposed to be like that because there are many roads. But what we have to learn on this global vessel that we call Earth, we got to learn how to get along. It ain't too hard. It ain't too, it's the simple, it's the basics, right? Because as the principles on the ship, right? And we talk about this as a crew, what is the number one threat to a crew on a voyage? Some may look out and see the seas, right? You see the waves, you see the sharks, right? Malfunctions on a ship, different things can go wrong.
Mutiny.
But come on, brother.
Come on,
Who
brother.
said it?
I forgot who said that.
Brother
Somebody said
Brother
Abdullah.
Abdullah.
Mutiny.
Us going against each other.
That's right.
And we claim to be gods. We claim to be connected to the Creator, but we can't look at our brother.
Come on.
Talk about it.
We can't stay with him. So in the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, the principles and what it's teaching, right at the front is teaching us how to be brothers and have a real genuine connection, because this ain't about the titles. It's not about the fame. It's not about me trying to be something. No, it's about how good of a brother can I be? Can I dedicate myself to a spiritual discipline that in its execution, in its practice, is making me a better person? Because what? Now I'm focused on what? The Creator. I'm focused on meditations. I'm focused because now it's too much reading. I got too much research to do. I got too much connection. We talked about it in the last meeting. The Ancient Free Moorish Rite is meeting 6-7 days a night, a week.
Talk about it.
It's like they say, when you got a mission and a purpose, it's too much work to be done. You got to find time to sleep.
Come on.
So that's when that rule and that gauge come in.
Because when you find that purpose, you'll hear people often say, "I'll sleep when I'm beyond the grave." I got work to do. But we got work to do in reintroducing the Moorish Rite, introducing not a branch of Freemasonry, but its roots, with all due respect to all of the roots. Because we say all the time, we will break bread and sit down with any brother, any organization, any rite who is coming in brotherly love and meeting on a level with respect.
Beautifully said.
As we always said, we don't start nothing, right? But we're not taking anything either.
So not that's right, and exact.
Because we're on our mission, and more importantly, we don't have to worry about that because we're on a divine mission.
Come on.
Our mission is spiritual, and not a hand will be laid on any of the children, any of the brothers, because there's a protection, there's a spiritual protection. Because as I said, there's a spiritual discipline. There's something you were trying to get at. Well, what's the difference in the Moorish Rite? The difference is the brothers you see on the line, Grandmaster Abdullah. The difference is in the people in the spiritual forces behind them. That's what makes the Moorish Rite different. And capstone in that is the genuine article, because here, this is a real thing.
That's right.
We're not here to, because as I said, in the end, you got to take that last breath. And for me personally, this is an assurance that not only will I have no regrets, but that I'm going to leave a living legacy in the hearts and minds of my brothers, in the things that I have to produce to what? Immortalize you. Because Brother Aket ain't going to be here all the time. We're going to all pass on, but that energy is going to be here, residing just like that energy of Dr. Clifford E. Hazel Bey resides in our L Day.
Got you. And
as his teacher.
I love how you put that.
And I'll end it right here. And we, as his students, it resides in us.
Talk about it. As we say in my house, in the French house, that's that egregore that was built.
Come on, brother.
And be moved. And I'm not going to divulge much, but people need to understand before those are quick to criticize what the Ancient Free Moorish Rite is. And again, as I say, I've been traveling for 4 years in what we call mainstream masonry. I'm going to disrespect the Prince Hall. I'm neither Prince Hall, but I always found you guys very interesting. And I love that the fact that they took the reins in charge of their own destiny, but they do not disrespect anyone. And as you say, we all on the path. I'm going to even go a little deep. We all on this tree of life, taking these 10 routes. I mean, these 22, there's 10 separate and there's 22 paths. We all finding a way to get up to Keta. We all trying to get the Ain't Soft. You know what I'm saying?
I'll say to end this for the people and the brothers that may be interested and will peruse and go to, our website, afmr-moorishrite.org. And for brothers coming in, and this fits in with our character, that nautical character, is that, guess what? The sea is big enough for us all.
Talk about it.
There's enough work to build the vessel and sail. There's enough space. for you to build and to sail your vessels, because guess what? We're doing it already. But whose vessels are we sailing each and every day? Whose mindsets, whose thoughts about who you are, and now you're living that out on a daily basis, not understanding that you're living out a program preset already for you. So we got to get to the core of this thing here. When we're introducing Freemasonry, this is not just a circus and a show. And you just, we can get together and have a good time and kick it and do all of it. But that ain't the premise and the basis of it. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to connect with the Creator and to, really as brothers and as people, find our purpose, in life. And I believe that finding our ultimate purpose in life is finding our service to each other and our service to man.
Beautifully said. My brother Arquette was on fire. Yo. That's real right there. No, it's true what you said. Finding yourself is finding God. Finding your purpose, learn to live with one another. And as you said, those who always say they seek in God know that, you can't seek something, you can't love something more than not loving the brother that's next to you.
And ain't it a beautiful thing when we do it and we embrace, we become what? It's, I'm going back to my childhood cartoons. We become Voltron. We start building. And now we stronger. We a unit. And what do we talk about? What do we need in the community all the time? What do we need? Unity.
But you gotta have that love first.
Unity. You gotta have it in yourself.
Without the love, you can do nothing.
And we got in the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, it's a place where you could practice that. You're given the keys and the space to be able to learn and to grow. And the brothers that they won't do what? Throw you overboard at every indiscretion or every failure or every mistake, feeding you to the sharks. It's a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood.
I respect that, man. Wow, you guys got to come back, man.
Yes,
you guys have to come back,
brother. We're gonna get it on. Within the month, we'll be back. So for your audience, be on alert. We'll be introducing it and announcing it, but we'll definitely be on, before the month is out in the next 4 weeks, brother, to continue this build. And I appreciate you having us. And I wanted the audience to be able to hear, as the setup was from our Supreme Grand Commander, directly from the source about who we are. And we pray that, everybody got what they seek tonight. And we thank you for having us here, brother.
No, you're welcome. It's an honor to have you guys there. I'm very pleased because you guys are very transparent. And, there's times you and I have spoken on the phone, Arquette. Very humble brother, down to earth, solid brother, real brother. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? And the rest of you guys as well, like very transparent, clear, honest, forthcoming with what you represent. And I'm still trying to find some more information about Clifford Hazel Bey, man. I don't know if I can find some books on the website because I'm always curious about reading more.
Absolutely, get with Brother Arquette, and yes, sir.
Definitely, man.
Elder, you want to do a closing statement, Elder?
May I say something real fast?
Oh yeah, brother, I'll do it.
Yes, Brother Mikey Fever. If you visit the Ancient Free Moorish Rite website and go to the, look for the section for books.
Yeah.
You can purchase a book called "What is Moorish Rite Freemasonry." I don't know if you have it already, but you'll get more information about Dr. Clifford E. Hazel Bey in that book. That's a good starting point, I would say.
Sir.
Definitely, I'll do that. Definitely, most appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. Supreme Grand Commander Lean Bey, do you want to?
Just on. I just love the theme of brotherhood. Brother Arquette, I just love your theme with that. And that's what it's about. Jesus said to love the brotherhood. And on this note, this scripture says, and you were alluding to this, Brother Mikey Fever, the scripture says, how can you say you love God whom you have never seen, and you cannot love your brother whom you see every day?
Talk about it.
So we're challenged with that. And, I'd like to think, hope, and pray that in the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, that we are executing the reality of that. So in real time, we know that we will not survive without that becoming a reality in our lives. And we'll just keep repeating the same thing over and over again, not knowing why, it's just not working out. Well, all along, the answer is right in front of you, right? And as we say, sometimes the solution is simple, but within the execution of that, therein lies the difficulty. We have to get past the difficulty of that and trust the results.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact, man. Beautifully said. My brothers of the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, I appreciate you for coming out. You guys keep doing your thing, keep growing. May God cover your missions, your agendas. And for people, before you become a naysayer, people, do your research on these brothers. Get involved. Don't be afraid. Don't believe everything you hear about Masonry. You get what I'm saying? The conspiracy theories will drive you crazy, and you need to open up your mind and break the barrier
Yes,
and
sir.
walk with God and trust in
sir.
God. With that
Yes,
being
sir.
said, NYP, we are out. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. One love to my brothers. Peace, man.
Peace, sir.
Peace.
Peace.